Mazda stepping into the premium large SUV segment has been an interesting move, because it has brought in some new inline 6 engines which seem very attractive, and it's all wrapped up in a very elegant prestige design. Here we're testing the top spec Azami variant with the D50e diesel engine. It might not be the most popular option, but I think it's probably one of the best, because you get awesome economy, but still plenty of grunt and torque, which is important in a big heavy vehicle like this. It is a large SUV and might not look like it on camera, but yeah, this is quite a big model, measuring just over 5.1 meters long. It's also around 2 meters wide. Unfortunately, that does mean it's pretty heavy as well, with a curb weight of 2,241 kilograms. All variants in Australia are all-wheel drive, although you're probably not planning any sort of serious off-roading, because check out these stunning 21-inch alloy wheels. They wear impressively fat 275/45s on the front and back. Inside, it's a beautiful package. I love the fabric trim across the dash. It's got this kind of beechwood trim across the center console and door trims, which is a little bit unusual, but it gives it a kind of unique touch. And then metallic switchgear with some traditional black buttons in Mazda's style. The driving position is perfect. You can adjust the steering wheel in and out and up and down. And these seats are nice and comfortable too. There's also plenty of storage around the center console. In the back here we have the 6-seater version, which has just 2 captain style chairs for the middle row, and a proper center console running through the middle. You've got full climate control, plenty of storage, cup holders, charging ports, and pull-up blinds for the windows. There's heaps of room back here as well, and this middle row is fully adjustable. Right at the back you've got 2 additional seats. The headroom is okay, but it's not that good considering the vehicle's size. You've got plenty of amenities back here, including charging ports and cup holders, but even legroom, it's not that impressive for this vehicle's size and compared with some rivals. In terms of boot space, you've got 608 litres, which is good, and the third row folds down completely flat to open up more space. Even with the third row in place though, you get a bit of an idea of this vehicle's length, because check out how much room you've still got left over. There's also some storage under the floor. As for the engine, this is a 3.3 litre turbo diesel inline 6. Brand new engine, and it features 48 volt mild hybrid technology. The official fuel consumption average is astonishing, 5.4 litres per 100 kilometres. That pretty much sets the standard for this segment. Performance is decent, as you'll soon see, especially considering its power and torque outputs compared with some of the European rivals with 6-cylinder diesel engines. Out on the road now, starting with the ride quality. It's a little bit choppy over small bumps like this, so I've got all these little patches and things all over the surface, and it's definitely a little bit choppy, like it jitters around a little bit compared with other SUVs in this class. So I've driven down this road in other models like the Kluger. The Kluger just sails over it very smoothly, but you know, some might argue that that suspension is a bit too soft. Well, this is kind of a weird balance between being firm enough to be sporty over smaller bumps, but then it catches the bigger bumps okay, but it doesn't feel completely confident when you push it. You're aware that this is a big vehicle and a heavy vehicle, more so than other models in this class. Around corners it does feel pretty confident and it stays flat, like it doesn't have much body roll, but the steering definitely becomes a bit heavier, and I just don't have complete confidence in I know what the vehicle is doing. Again, that the initial choppiness of the suspension is kind of deceiving in that it makes it feel like it's a sporty SUV, but then when you start to turn it through some corners, yeah, it just doesn't have that complete confidence that you get from something like a Kia Sorento or Toyota Kluger even though, as I said, it is a bit softer, you still have that confidence and consistency. Yeah, that's probably the best term to describe this. It's just not very consistent. It seems like it's sporty, then when you start pushing it, it feels quite heavy and it's just a little bit cumbersome. Overall though, it does feel very luxurious and very planted and solid on the road. This diesel engine is quiet. It does sound a bit rough though. especially when it's cold and at lower speeds. Once you're humming along, you probably don't even notice that it's a petrol. I mean, that it's a diesel. You could confuse it for a petrol. I mean, I'll just slow down and show you the kickdown. It doesn't have that typical diesel clatter, but there is definitely a sort of raw roughness instead. I think I'd prefer that over a clattery diesel, but yeah, I have driven diesels that are just a little bit smoother and a bit nicer sounding. It really is an interesting combination, and for Mazda to come up with a brand new inline 6 diesel is, yeah, very interesting. Not many other car makers are doing that, and in fact most are turning away from diesel. In terms of fuel economy, this is averaging 6.5 litres per 100 kilometres, which is excellent for a big, heavy, you know, 7-seater type SUV like this. That's awesome economy in the real world too. It does have this interesting iStop sort of stop-start feature, mild hybrid. So when you back off the throttle, it'll actually turn the engine off completely. I'm not sure if you can see that. And it just coasts along. You can apply very, very mild throttle and it will keep going like I'm talking for a few seconds, and then the diesel engine will start back up again. But that does save some economy when you're just cruising along the highway, you know, and you're going down a big, long, steep downhill stint. You're just sort of coasting and you back off a little bit and it turns the engine off. So you're just saving a little bit of fuel each time. You can turn it off as well with the iStop off button on the side here. Visibility is pretty good, especially out the front. I've got a good idea of, you know, where the vehicle is, kind of. The width is a bit hard to determine. Just takes a bit more driving to get used to, I guess. But yeah, I can see through the pillar there and the mirror. And out the back is not too bad either. It does have big, thick D pillars, and those headrests stick up a bit in the third row, but that's typical of this class. And for this sort of generation, you know, we've got big, thick pillars for most vehicles these days. Around some big sweeping bends, yeah, it definitely holds on well. It's got good confidence. And there's a bump up here we can test out on a bend and see how it handles. I think as I said, the bigger impacts are alright. It's the smaller impacts that it seems to just there. Yeah, no, that went really well through that. Alright, let's go out now and do the performance test and see what it goes like.